The Q8 e-tron is the latest electric model from Audi. It is the facelift or update on the first e-tron SUV, and like that model, comes in both the SUV and Sportback or coupé SUV body styles. And we are getting both. I have driven and tested all versions of this model on the first global drive a few months ago in the Canary Islands. And now I'm just outside Bangalore to test the car in India. And since both body styles are similar in performance and trim, today I'm spending more time with the Sportback. It is very pretty to look at. It is an Audi and it's very recognizable as one. So, you know, the overall design language hasn't changed in a revolutionary way. You still get a lot of muscle in the hood and, like I said, typical Audi styling, but the e-tron family of SUVs gets the e-tron grille. It's almost like this mask in front. I like that. Big e-tron etched badging. And then the new thing you're seeing globally, which is this two-dimensional flat four rings logo. There aren't actually metal rings anymore. It's just a flat thing, but it's housed in this protruding sort of a panel that has a light bar on top. So underneath this top section of the grille, you can't see it in this light, but you've got this little bit of a light bar. It's not a DRL. What it does is it just casts a nice little glow and highlights the four rings, just the tops of the rings. Nice little signature at night or at dusk. It is pretty cool, very sophisticated and high-end. Of course, you've got the actual DRLs in there, full LED treatment. Nice sporty finish to this front grille. Being the Sportback, it does look pretty cool. The headlight motif remains akin to the pre-facelift e-tron 2. The e-tron always had two charging ports, one on either fender, so it's easier to just park and charge. So you know how all the Q cars, the SUVs from Audi, the Q was kind of squarish and chunky. Well, it's changed now. So at the back you see a much rounder Q. It's also nicely subtly finished in black. Looks pretty cool, very upmarket, very stylish. I'm talking about that on the side because you've also got badging that's barely seen, very subtle again, here on the B-pillar. So it says Audi Q8 e-tron Sportback Quattro. I like that. It's something different and new. You also see a lot of muscle, front fender as well as over here. It kind of rises out of the door, adds a nice amount of character and heft and strength to the overall design. Now the coupe roofline on the Sportback has gotten more and more popular. In fact, Audi says even its Q3 Sportback has been received really well now as compared to a few years ago. So no doubt about it, people opting for the Q8 e-tron, they would very definitely consider the Sportback as well, in my opinion. The SUV version also gets the same styling changes, but on the whole, the Q8 e-tron now looks a lot leaner and more agile in its stance compared to the first e-tron. Driving range on the Q8 e-tron is higher than on the pre-facelift version as well. It has increased between 32 and 44%, depending on the variant. That translates to between 500 and 600 kilometers of range across all variants. Now globally, you've got three models or three variants of the Q8 e-tron family. So what's essentially the 50, the 55, not using that badging anymore, and then of course the SQ8 e-tron, which is the really powerful version. Now, we're not getting the SQ8, but we are getting both the others. The car I'm driving is essentially what would be the 55, so the higher one. And then you got the 50, which is the entry version. That's also going to be available at launch. With that, you get the 95 kilowatt-hour battery and 333 bhp. With this one, of course, it's the 114 kilowatt-hour battery and 400 bhp. The motors on the Q8 e-tron are now more tightly wound. This has been done to extract more torque. There are two motors, front and rear, which also gives you the all-wheel drive or quattro capability. While on the SQ8 e-tron, you have three motors, two at the back and one in front. That also gives you torque vectoring. I did drive the SQ8 extensively too during my last outing with this model line, as I mentioned a few months ago. And it's totally sick. But as I've already told you, we ain't getting it. Good news though is that the regular car is also plenty fun. There are lots of improvements on this car as compared to the previous e-tron. This is like the facelift of that car, but you know what? It also changes a lot of things dynamically. It's not just the outside that's changed. It's not just the look that's changed. It's not just a few features. The car is definitely a lot sportier. It's a lot tighter. It handles much nicer. It's not like the previous car was bad, but you know, this one just takes it up a notch, and it still maintains a really nice ride quality as well while doing all of that. But nice steering, good cornering, very fun to drive. Yes, the dynamic prowess the car now boasts is a definite USP. It is way sharper, sportier, and gives you much quicker response. And like I said, the handling is a lot sharper too, as is the steering. The Sportback is slightly more dynamic, though you couldn't really tell that difference when you're driving. It also has marginally better aerodynamics given its swept back roofline. On Audi Drive Select, you have the usual modes. There's comfort, there's efficiency, there's dynamic, and there's also individual. But besides all of that, the usual drive modes, you've also got something called the range mode. As the name implies, if you are a little bit worried about how much juice you've got left in the battery, essentially what it does is it just gives you the most optimal, most efficient use of that remaining power. So it cuts off things like air conditioning and any extra lighting or any other element that could be sucking up some of that power. So that's good to have, I suppose, because you never know when you might need it. The Q8 e-tron also gets a suite of ADAS functions, from lane keep assist to adaptive cruise control and self-parking. Inside, it has a beautifully finished cabin, great materials, and also the latest Audi MMI Navigation Plus and Virtual Cockpit Plus instrument cluster. The Apple CarPlay connectivity is not wireless though, which is a bummer, but there is a wireless charger, and the Bang & Olufsen sound system with 6 speakers is awesome. You also get the massage function on the front seats, 30-color ambient lighting, and lots of customization options on the materials and trims. The My Audi Connect app gives you telematics and lets you monitor the car's status, its charging progress, and also your own driving behavior and efficiency. Another nice to have feature is the air suspension. It gives you a fair amount of travel. Overall, it's 76 millimeters. So when you put the car in dynamic, it actually drops down from its 176 mm ground clearance. It drops 26 mm down further. And of course, when you're in off-road mode, or if you want to manually raise the car, from that regular ground clearance of 176, it can go up 50 millimeters as well. So overall, like I said, a 76 mm range that you can manipulate the height of the car. On our roads, on any roads, frankly, good to have. The car comes equipped with a whole host of safety features as well, which are standard. The Q8 e-tron is undoubtedly one of the coolest EVs in the market now. The launch is just days away, which is when we'll have the prices. It will primarily need to take on the BMW iX, the best-selling premium EV across all brands and body types in India currently. While it may not be as dynamic as that car, it is beautifully styled and finished and has all the features you definitely want. And then there's more competition that's coming in the form of cars like the Mercedes EQE SUV too.